Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got what if height is missing instead of volume? So here's one of those times where we're trying to show that it doesn't matter what's missing. As long as only one piece is missing, we can solve any formula. That's the practice going on here. Are there times in life where you're going to know what the volume is and be able to figure out other aspects or variables? Absolutely. They don't happen near as often, at least in my experience. I was never an engineer, so maybe I'm wrong from the engineering standpoint. But here we actually have H missing, but we're going to follow the same process as if the volume was missing. So I need to realize that volume equals my base shape area times my height. And here I know my height is question mark. Not quite sure. However, what I do know, since this is a circle as my base, now notice how that's not what's on the ground, but what could happen is I could push this and it's going to roll. So if I have a cylindrical object, oh, I did that thing again. I held it down too long. All right. If I had a cylindrical object and I push it, it's going to roll. So the idea of a base in my mind that I try to add to it is what's the side I could put it on that it's not going to roll? It's going to be able to rest and sit. So that's typically what we use as the base. Could there be exceptions? Sure, I can't think of any, but that's it. So my base is actually that circle. It's not the line, that's actually my height. What I mean by it's not the line is I'm going to put it in purple. The height here is just how tall we have to go, which is the definition of our height. And I'm going to change that to be purple there so we're all coordinated. It is not the base shape. The base shape is the one that's in green, and volume is what we're going for. So let me better color coordinate this. I knew I'd get back to it. All right. So my height is what's missing. It's what I don't know. However, luckily, I'm not stuck. I do know that my volume is 314. Now, hopefully that number rings a bell, and you'll see why here in just a second, I believe. But here, I need to cut this number in half because currently my diameter equals 10 inches, but I need my radius. And my radius would be half of my diameter. So if I take 10 divided by 2, I get a radius of 5. And that's important because capital B, or the area of my base shape of a circle, is going to be pi r squared. So pi times 5 squared. 5 squared is equal to 25. And all I got to do is flip those numbers around, and we're good. Okay, so in case I haven't said it before, memory is going wonky. It's okay. The order in which we write items being multiplied. What I mean by items is we have coefficients, we have reserved variables, and then we have unknown variables. In this case, pi is a reserved variable. So they go in the order I just stated. The first item listed would be a number or a coefficient that is a number. The second is a reserved variable, and the third order would be an unknown variable. Now, within those categories, numbers are always numbers, you just multiply them. So there should only ever be one number at the beginning. When it comes to reserved variables, you would put them in alphabetical order. And in the third category, you do the same with unreserved or unknown variables. You also put those in alphabetical order. That's how you would write them. Now, I'm just going to verbally go over that and show you different examples of that later as we get to them. Listing them out right now is not something I'm planning on doing. But that's the order in which we would write things. It's kind of like how would we write a sentence? Does the verb come first? Does the noun, adjective, things like that? In math, it's always the number, the reserved variable in alphabetical order, then the unknown variable in alphabetical order. So in this case, we've written the number and the reserved variable of pi And that's why I write it as 25 pi instead of pi 25. All right. Off of that tangent, I can now take 25 pi and put it in here. Oh, I ended that way too early. I still don't know h, but what I do know, again, is 314 cubic inches is equal to my volume, so I can actually plug that in here. And now we just have an equation solved. Now remember, I don't do 3.14 as pi until the very last thing, so what we can do is recognize that 25 pi times h, well that's times, so if I divide by 25 pi on both sides, I actually am able to move that 25 pi and take 314 divided by 25 pi, and guess what? That's going to equal my height. So a couple of things I could do. I could, knowing 314 is my numerator and pi is in my denominator, and knowing pi is 3.14, 314 and 3.14 should sound eerily familiar. I would be able to do, I could cancel that, but really what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up my calculator. I'm going to take 314 divided by, and I'm going to put a parenthesis, 25 times 3.14, close parenthesis. That parenthesis is going to be important. And I'm going to get that my answer is 4 equals height. So I've got a final answer. Well, technically, my variable should be on the left. My answer should be on the right. Again, formality, since we're going over that. I would count both of them right, but this would actually get probably a score of 0.9, and this would get the 1.0 score, because it's not that the 4 equals h is wrong, it's just not the academic format we're looking for. All right, so till next time, guys, take it easy and stay safe.